Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
That's what I'm talking about. All of our guests today, including Ross Tucker, standing by, are sponsored by Basant Motors. Basant is looking to help save you money in 2024. Choose no car payments, no gas payments, or no insurance payments until the summer. Get all the info at Basant Motors, BASANT Motors.com, as we bring in from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, CBS Sports and Westwood One, Ross Tucker. Ross, thanks for doing this. I'll say Happy New Year to you again. How are you, sir?
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy New Year times two. I'm doing great. I'm fired up for the playoffs. It's a new year from a football perspective. New season.
Yeah, so much to talk about from the weekend. Let's start with the team that you cover extensively, the Philadelphia Eagles. They lose to the Giants 27-10. I love the report you did on Twitter at the half. You weren't going to bother with the end of the game. But the Eagles end their regular season losing 5 of 6. They finish 11-6. Philly's at Tampa Bay next week. What do all these negative numbers mean for the Eagles going into the postseason?
Well, it's hard to have a whole lot of optimism, if any, right? Now, I do think that there's a pretty good chance that they'll get Darius Slay back and DeAndre Swift and Devontae Smith and maybe getting a lot of these guys back and going against an opponent in Tampa Bay that's not great can be enough for the Eagles to get off to a good start, build some confidence, believe that it really is a new season, and beat the Bucs. But the way they played over the last month in particular, really hard to picture them right now winning more than that. And I think really after these last 2 games against the Cardinals and the Giants and the way they were dominated by two teams that were 2 of the worst teams in the NFL this year, it's really hard to imagine the Eagles, winning 2 playoff games. And it wouldn't be surprising if they lost to the Bucs, maybe even badly.
I know you had a few things to say about this, but Arthur Smith, who's been fired by the Atlanta Falcons, upset at Dennis Allen. Saints go rogue. The players go rogue with the last-minute unnecessary touchdown. They beat the Falcons handily. Just your opinion of what went on there.
Well, so first of all, everybody, I already did talk about this on the Ross Tucker podcast and posted to social media at Ross Tucker NFL. So I would encourage people to check that out. But what I would tell you is, first of all, I don't like that the Saints try to score a touchdown at all. Now, in fairness to Dennis Allen, he wanted them to take a knee. But I've seen people say out there, if you don't want them to score, then stop them. And, he was just trying to help out a teammate or any of that stuff, right? Okay, that's fine. I disagree. I think in the NFL, once you have the game clearly won, and it was 41-17, and the game's clearly won, and you can take 2 knees and end the game, I think that's what you do. I think you take 2 knees and you end the game. I think that's the classy thing to do. I think it's the respectful thing to do. But people disagree on that. Okay, guys, you can't do that in victory formation. I mean, that's not even part 1 of what I just said, part 1 of my little diatribe right there. That is up for some measure of debate. I guess I'm a boomer or whatever. I don't care. Old guy yelling at the clouds. Not how I was brought up. Not how our coach did it when we were in high school. Not how, I'm wearing an Army-Navy thing. Not how those guys would do it. It's just not the respectful thing to do. But some people don't care about that. That's fine. You can't do it out of victory formation. I mean, if you that could be chaos. The last thing you want as an offensive lineman is the D lineman to come firing off when you're in victory formation because they think that you might come flying off the ball, try to score a touchdown. Can't do it. And that's why Jameis Winston going rogue and the whole team or whatever, not a good idea. And not a good look for Dennis Allen, quite frankly, that the team is willing to go rogue in a situation like that.
Ross, the Seahawks missed the playoffs for the second time in 3 years. The defense down the stretch was just atrocious. Do you see major changes there? Or, is it time to really start making some major moves?
It's interesting because it does feel like it would be a pretty good time for there to be a transition there. in Seattle, right? I mean, they had the surprising year a year ago. They tried to build off that, brought back Bobby Wagner, had a good draft. You trade for Leonard Williams, and yet they still didn't make the playoffs. It kind of feels like it might be time for some new blood there, whether that's the head coach or the GM or whatever. I do think they have a pretty good roster. I think the draft choices have been pretty good, especially if you look at some of their recent draft choices. And I think Pete Carroll's done a nice job. So I understand if they put them together again and give them one more shot, but it feels sort of like a natural time to kind of move forward and not wait till things are like rock bottom.
Ross, Buffalo was 5-5 in mid-November. Everybody had written them off, and then now they win the division, go 6-1 down the stretch. What's impressed you most about the Bills?
Well, just that, I think their resiliency. I mean, even in-game resiliency, right? Like, Josh Allen has 3 turnovers in the red zone, 2 interceptions, a fumble, and at the end of the first half, he doesn't get him a field goal, which would have been critical points at that point. I mean, critical. And honestly, who knows what would have happened without that punt return for a touchdown? I think we'll never know. But I just think their ability to battle back after everything that happened, even that tough overtime loss to the Eagles that had to be so deflating, they just kept playing. They just kept, whatever expression you want to use, chopping wood or whatever, and got back to 11-6, number 2 seed. Really impressive. Really impressive.
Ross, I know we've asked you this before, but it's the end of the season. We'll ask you it again. What's your best guess on Bill Belichick's future in New England?
Done. Yeah, done. I'd be really surprised if he's back. That would be like an all-time convincing job by Belichick because the Patriots are looking to move on. They're ready to move on, right? So that'd be an all-time convincing job by Belichick. I don't see it happening. I do think he'll coach somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I think there's a decent chance it's going to be in Washington for a lot of different reasons. They have the number 2 pick. They have a lot of cap space. They have a new owner who's a patient owner. They're close to where Belichick grew up in Annapolis. I think there's a lot of positives there.
Yeah, Ron Rivera getting the action in Washington. He wouldn't be the first legendary coach to join the Washington football team. Vince Lombardi did that back in the day. I'm older than you, Ross. I remember these things. Belichick's very well aware of that. He knows the history. Yeah, both Lombardi and Belichick with Giants connections. Lions Sam Laporta sets the NFL record for catches by a rookie tight end in Detroit's game yesterday, and then he gets injured. What are your thoughts on NFL teams, and this happens in every sport, but NFL especially, so physical, NFL teams resting players before the playoffs, sitting players?
Right. I think, honestly, you can make a compelling argument either way. I think for the Lions, because the Cowboys and the Eagles were playing after them, they certainly can justify playing their starters to give them every opportunity to get the number 2 seed, right? Because that's a big difference. Mm-hmm. 2 seed versus 3 seed. That's, their fans haven't had a home playoff game in 30 years, right? So the ability to potentially get the number 2 seed and 2 home playoff games, I get why they played their guys. It's really unfortunate. Laporta is such a big part of their team. So that's a major, major bummer what happened to him. I'll be curious to see how long he's out. I don't expect him to play Sunday night. And he's a major factor in what they do and something that they're going to have to figure out and now play with that. It's a shame. It really is.
Ross, national championship game tonight, Washington, Michigan. Boy, this quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., he's so fun to watch. Who do you got tonight? Give us a preview.
Well, he was unbelievable against Texas. And it's funny, by the way, because now you see the people that don't even watch college football, probably like you, by the way, Rick, they don't even watch college football, that watched one game that are like, that guy is the guy. That is the guy. He should go ahead of Drake May. He should go ahead of Caleb Williams. Like we forget the 6-year sample size. Yeah. And the guy's had a great year. He's had a great 2 years up in Washington.
Big time.
And I actually think Washington has a great chance to win the game. I think that because of him being in that zone and how well he played, also it kind of felt to me like Michigan, after they beat Alabama, kind of felt like they won the national championship. Like the way they were acting, a little bit more subdued, I think, from Washington. And Washington has met every challenge all year. And I think they've got the better quarterback in the game. I think they win the game. The only way I think Michigan wins is if Michigan's able to just run the ball all over Washington, because Texas did have some success doing that.
All right, so how about this? A Donnie and Dolly bucket hat for that Army-Navy pullover you've got going there. That looks good.
Yeah.
Is it a deal?
What's funny? I have like 4 of these because they give me one every year.
Oh.
And I have no interest whatsoever in a Donnie and Dolly bucket hat. I don't wear bucket hats. Secondly, I like this thing. So no deal. No trade, Donnie. It's off.
All right. We'll negotiate later.
Where's the love?
Hey, Ross, thanks for this. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the playoff weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait. Hey, doubleheader next weekend for me. Saturday night in the booth, Westwood 1 with Kevin Harlan for Dolphins at Chiefs.
Wow.
First flight Sunday morning. I'll be in Detroit on the sideline for the first playoff game in Detroit in 30 years. So doubleheader. Make sure you're listening to Westwood 1 and make sure you guys check me out.
We will.
All right.
Ross, thank you. Next week.
All right. See you guys.